Hi guys, my name's Celeste, Ronnie, whatever y'all want to call me. I don't know. I go by Ronnie in real life. I go by Celeste in real life. I use Ronnie on my socials because I don't like people in real life finding me, like at work. Just call me whatever. I go by Celeste. I wanted to talk to you guys today about me moving out at 18. And I'm going to go through the why I had to move out, or why I felt the need to move out, got kicked out, whatever. Because it kind of went hand in hand. In story time, I wanted to tell you why I felt the need to move out, which I feel like if you watch some of my previous videos, you would know why. But then I did move out in 2019, so it's been about 5-6 years. So I will go through the years on what happened and why and how it went, and like my experience, etc., and where I'm at now in life. In 2019, I decided to move out to an apartment in Kennesaw with my classmate because obviously, I don't know if you guys know, but I grew up in a pretty abusive household. I feel like what I went through, no kid should really have to go through. In the sense of, my mom got remarried after she divorced my dad, and in her remarrying, she prioritized this guy. She was a pygmy mother. She would cook, and then when I asked if I could have some food or if I could have more, she'll be like, there's none for you, etc. And then my stepdad will be like, yes there is, there's more. And she'll be like, you're not supposed to ask for food because that's for him, that's for my husband, not for you. So with that scenario, you could kind of get a gist of how my mother was. She loved this man and that was her life, and then we were just a disturbance for her. But I remember it didn't let my stepdad buy us anything. She didn't let our stepdad really support us the way that we needed it. She had the $600 that my dad would give us for child support, which in theory that's $200 each child, because it's me, my sister, my brother, and that didn't even cover toiletries, and that was per month. And so obviously, and then when we turned 18, my dad stopped giving child support because he's like, you guys don't need it anymore or whatever. I don't know. It's like a whole sticky situation where my mom was only relying on $200. And at the time I had braces, and that's what she was spending the money on. So then it's just like, why'd you even get me braces if you were only going to depend on this little amount of money that we had? We need toiletries, we need food, we need this, we need that. And so that was like one of the things, like kind of financial abuse, like, oh well, like your dad didn't give me more. And it's just like, what the heck. And then it's just like, she never had a job. And I get it's not my stepdad's responsibility, but we were still her kids at the time. But then she was also very opposed to me trying to get a job, because I remember when I would try to get a job, she kind of had like an opposition against it. And then when I did get a job, she didn't like that I had a job because I wasn't home. But to be fair, when I had my car and when I had a job, I was just working. I worked overtime as an 18-year-old. I just didn't want to be home. I just felt like I was going manic, which I feel like I was. I have had the cops called on me because I just felt like I was food deprived, like depressed, sleep deprived, because my mom was requiring me to go to church 24/7, like 5 days a week, getting home late. Like I would get home at 12, and I remember I had school at 5 a.m. and she just didn't like that I wanted to skip out on church because of school. And mind you, I was an honor student. I took all AP classes. I was really smart. Like I'm really good at math for sure, bad at reading, but I still tried my best. I still had A's in that class because, again, I worked really hard. I was in a lot of extracurricular activities. I was like a literal golden child, and that was never going to be good enough for my mom because her priority was Jesus and God and religion. So I was always just a disappointment. And mind you, when I went to church, like I would involve myself in the things that my church was doing. Like I would go to Bible study, I would read my Bible, I would pray, but I just never felt connected to God in the sense of like just forcing myself to do all these things that I didn't want to do. I never felt connected to God. And honestly, now I feel more connected to God than ever. I just have a very distant relationship with, like, I don't say God, I just say creator. Like I don't really have a name for it. I just say like, dear universe, dear creator, like thank you so much for today. Like I just pray in my own way because I just Like literally the relationship is so distant because I just have so much trauma. But I remember I would be so sleep deprived that my mom, like, she just didn't understand. And then I remember one time, like, they were arguing about, or like they bought food, but I was asleep, again, sleep deprived. So I was sleeping at wonky hours of the day. And I remember I just like went from 0 to 100. I just went red in the sense of like, I just started yelling because I was just so hungry and mad because they just got food without me. And I was hungry. Like, I was just hungry. I was sleep deprived. So like I was stressed, school, a lot of work, and I was just yelling. And I remember they called the cops on me because I was yelling. And like that made me even more heartbroken because like my mom just did it because my stepdad was like, oh, like, get your daughter. Like, it's just like I always felt the priority picking of her husband over her kids. And which was fine. Like, it was just a household I couldn't live in anymore. I was always in pain. I was always sad. I was always depressed. And then I remember my decision at 18 as a senior in high school, graduating, which, by the way, my stepdad didn't go to graduation and my mom was there for like 5 seconds and she left. I truthfully hate my graduation. Like, every time I think about it, I don't like how some girl like went about it. I'm not gonna say names because I don't want to out her, but she just did what she wanted to do on my graduation and it broke my heart. And I wasn't celebrated on my graduation. So I know if I ever do graduate college, I'm not going to invite anybody but my boyfriend and his family because of like my experience back then. But I decided as a senior in high school that I was going to move out near the college that I was going to go to, and that was my final decision. That's what I wanted. I didn't want anything else. I just wanted to be away from home. So when I decided to move out, I remember my mom, when I got my job, my mom was mad because I would wear makeup. I just was never home. And I remember me not caring because I was like, I'm about to move out. Like, she could be mad. She can assume I'm a hoe. She could assume I'm sleeping around, whatever. Because at the end of the day, me wearing makeup, me going to work 48 hours or whatever the hell, I'm gonna work and I'm going to disassociate till I'm out of this place. And she didn't like it. She called me a disappointment multiple times for wearing makeup, which, by the way, she wears makeup now. She shows cleavage. She celebrates Christmas, which is all stuff she didn't let us do, but whatever. And then I remember my first year, I didn't even make it to 6 months of moving out when I decided, I feel like time was going by so slow. After 6 months, I didn't even make it that far living alone. Time went by so slow. I just couldn't keep up with the rent portion of like my life. And then I remember in December of 2019, I decided to attempt because I just didn't want to live. I just felt alone. I just didn't feel happy. I just didn't see the point. And obviously I was there for a week. I didn't want to be there at the hospital, the mental hospital. When I got out, I had no intention of like living my life as I thought I would. But obviously the universe had different plans because they kept putting people in my life that were there for me. They're not there for me now, which is understandable. Life happens, like differences happen, and trauma like erupts and makes friendships fall apart when you don't know how to handle it. But there were people there for me, and that literally was one of the reasons why I'm still here, because I just felt a need to just keep going, because I'm like, oh well, now I have friends, now I have people I have to show up for, and I can't just leave, right? And I'm not saying that that made me happy. Like, it just felt like something I had to do at the time. Obviously I did care about my friends, but I felt more like it was an obligation than like I care about them. But obviously I love them still. Like, they're still in my heart. I think about them all the time. And then in 2021 I went through like a really bad heartbreak. there was this guy that I dated for like a month, and mind you, I think now that I look back at it, I just had the most unhealthy attachment to him because, again, I grew up like just always questioning why I'm not enough to be loved. Obviously, now that I look back, that's not the case. Nothing's wrong with me. I am deserving of love. But at the time, I was just so attached to this guy, and I was just like always sad, always crying, didn't know how to move on with my life, and I felt dumb. I feel dumb thinking back at it now because obviously I'm like, girl, queen, why were you crying? But at the time, I'm not gonna lie, I was a fucking maniac. I just didn't understand why he broke up with me after 2 months. So weird. Like, that was a 2-month relationship. There was literally nothing to be attached about, but here I was. But I'm gonna be realistic. I didn't know how to handle my emotions. And at the time too, I was still like, because I messed up my college stuff when I went to the mental hospital during finals week and finals month period. Honestly, I had messed up my FAFSA, messed up my college stuff. So I had decided in 2020, like after I got out of the mental hospital, not to go back to college. In 2020, I had my heartbreak. I kind of moved on from it after like a couple of months, and everything was fine. But I tried making friends. I did start to take some online school that I had to pay back. I did pay back some of it, and obviously now my classes are getting harder, so I kind of just don't know what I want to do with school right now. But at that time, like, it was easier because it was basic classes, so I was able to take my classes and just try to pay them back. Obviously, I don't want to be in debt. And then in 2021, I was about to turn 21. I was still in college, but I decided to take a manager position so I wouldn't struggle anymore. And in 2021 is when I got into an abusive relationship. I know I have issues, but like, the relationship was just like me just trying not to be with this guy, and then like just kind of being like pulled back in. And I don't even know why I forced the relationship so much. And then also too, like, he would like kind of be nice but then like be mean when he didn't want to deal with me. And like, he already knew, like, he was there in 2019 when I was in the hospital, and he knew a lot of my trauma, and then he still decided that like he was gonna put me through hell. So obviously I didn't tell anybody about him. I didn't really tell people we dated either. Like, the people who were close to me knew, but the internet didn't know. Nobody knew, because at the end of the day, I just kind of saw that relationship not working out. I remember like he was abusive. I remember we were arguing all the time, and it just like wasn't working out. I did like live with him for a bit. We would always get into fights. He would always hurt me, and then it's just like after a while, I decided to move out with my friends. But then that was like its own shit show. My friends were just like, I feel like they were low-key in an abusive relationship, like them two together. Like, it was a toxic relationship. They weren't clean, and I would try my best to like clean, but I felt like I didn't like the ungrateful aspect to when they would say stuff like, I appreciate that she cleaned, but she could have put the broom away. But it's like, I literally cleaned the entire house. Like, you can put the broom away. Like, I was doing it pretty often, which like I love them still, but it's just that situation was like stressing me out. But then I remember when we moved out because the lease ended, we moved into an apartment that scammed us, and that apartment that scammed us, our apartment flooded, and so they didn't tell us that our apartment flooded, like was a flooding apartment. It was like a faulty apartment, and they rented it out to us because they saw how desperate we were to find a place to move into, because a lot of the places we were trying to move into weren't working out. We were just struggling. And then I remember I was really sad because everyone had somewhere to go and I didn't. But I was still like in the situationship with this guy that was abusive, and me in my desperation moved back in with him. And I don't want men in the comments like saying some stuff, because I know how like annoying men are sometimes on the internet. Like, your comments gonna get deleted, you're gonna get blocked, whatever. But like obviously moved in with him. But then at the time I did decide to become a manager. This is where I decided to become a manager at my job. This is where I decided to put my big girl pants up and get a job and just work hard and just try to figure out my life a bit more. And when I first started my job as a manager, I did overnights, and this is at a gas station, and I remember crying, and I just felt anxious, and I just felt depressed, and I was just so miserable. I was just so I felt so awful. But I'm like, oh, okay, like I have to do this, and like I pulled through for like the first year, and thank God that I actually had a decent amount of managers that literally didn't stress me out, didn't expect so much from me. And I remember I had a good experience for doing overnights my first 6 months or 3 months, and then my next 3 months I had a good manager, but the area I was in was just suffering because the customers in that area were just so obnoxious. They were so mean. They would curse me out, whatever. The manager, and I remember they switched my shifts to morning shifts, and I was having it pretty good, right? The only thing was I was still dating this guy because obviously, well, A, I have unhealthy attachment issues, and then B, I had nowhere else to go, and so I'm like, okay, but obviously that's why I took my other job and was just taking it more seriously. But then we get to December of 2021, going into January. The guy I was dating had a group of friends, and I started hanging out with them, and in all my loneliness, I had never laughed so much in my life when we hung out with them. And I had never enjoyed an outing with random people where I just felt like I didn't need to talk, I didn't need to say anything. Like I just had to be there, and like I felt involved. I felt so happy, right? And this was like July 4th, and then I remember I had to go to work, so it was overnights, but I still went out to eat. And I was like, oh, okay, like I've never laughed so much in my life. And after meeting these people, I was so happy in the sense of like, oh, I would definitely hang out with them again. Like what? Like in all my years of just not having friends, not being able to relate, because all they did was drink and play board games. And like my generation a lot likes to smoke, which I have no issue with it, but I just can't relate to a lot of the things that they like to talk about. But these group of like friends, I did. Like I was just like, oh, like I'll just talk about whatever. Cool. And then I remember in December, they literally celebrated my 21st birthday with me. We went to the bar, and like I got so shit-faced. It was so funny. When I tell you 2021 was like starting to like lighten up for me, I had so much fun. I just like, even though I was in the situationship I was in, like just meeting new people made me so happy. But then tell me why one of the guys that was in that group, he's married, and he offered me a place to live. Mind you, I was still with my ex, who I was trying not to live with, and their rent offer was $400. And like that was perfect for me. Like I'm like, I want to finish school, I want to work hard, like this is amazing. And they're like, for you can rent it out for $400. And like it just felt very God sent at the time. Well, still grateful for it. But I remember it was so convenient timing as well, because at the time my then boyfriend got a trip to Hawaii from our job, because we worked at the same job. And this man like left his old iPhone, and he brought his iPhone on the plane, and he literally his ex texted him, which I told him that was a boundary of mine. Like, oh, if you're texting your ex and shit, like I'm not, like we're good, you know, like I have very strict boundaries. I'm very vocal, and I don't care. Like if you have something against it, like that just means we're not gonna work out, you know. And like obviously that's why we didn't work out. Like he obviously didn't like when I had anything to say, so he would hurt me, whatever. But me, like just trying to figure it out, suffered through it. Wasn't the best choice, wasn't? No. But at the time I just felt like I was doing what I had to do. Would I do things again? Honestly, no. Like honestly, the pain that I feel like I was feeling all these years like was so normal to me that it's just like just a little more for like to where I'm at now, I don't think I would have changed anything. I know that a lot of people are like, oh, I wish I could do things differently. I do regret like embarrassing myself the way I did in like 2021 with the first guy that broke my heart. It was so dumb. But this guy in 2022 of January, like, this guy texted his ex, saw it on his phone. I started an argument, but at the time when I met like the group of people that he introduced me to, he wasn't close to them. He just like talked to them here and there. But when he introduced me to them, like, the other guy had already offered me a place to live. So I already felt like there was other people around me and they weren't gonna say anything. Like, they're not dating me, they're not anything to me close, but they're there. So they're my friends, right? At the time. And I remember I moved out of the guy's place. And I also remember that he was like, I'm not gonna argue with you in Hawaii. And so then I'm like, that makes sense, you're on vacation, whatever. But also me, I'm like, then I have every right to move on, do whatever I want, right? And then I just moved on, had a situationship with someone else, and then obviously this guy, like, he kept doing like my ex from the situationship, like the one that was abusive, he kept doing things to like reel me back in, like make, like, do flowers and like stuff like that. And I just really tried to like forgive him and make it work out. Obviously I didn't have like anybody to talk to it. Like, I wasn't talking to my friends about this. Like, I'm just like, I've always been someone who keeps to myself, because when I'm in these situations, I don't even know what to say. I don't even know what to do. So when I was in that situation, I was just like entertaining it, not on purpose. Like, I wasn't like, oh yeah, give me all your stuff, but I wanted it to work out in a way too. But I'm just like, this is so dumb. Like, this is somebody I shouldn't really forgive. This isn't somebody I should really go back to. This isn't really something that I want anymore or at all. And I'm like, you were working so hard so that you could figure out your own life. Like, you were becoming a manager, and then I got promoted, by the way, too. So then, like, after a year of crying, whatnot, I just ended it. It was over. It was done for. We were not gonna date anymore. We're done. But he just kept like harassing me. He had photos of me and all this stuff. And so then after a while, like, it took actually about 2 years for him to leave me alone. No, 1 year. Well, 2 years. All of 2022, he was like, well, to be fair, I was like, no, I wasn't entertaining it, but I was still talking to him because I just didn't know. Like, I also felt like I was unhealthily attached because he's been there since I got my job, and he's been there since like all these phases of my life, and I just felt unhealthily attached. Obviously then in 2023, I decided to start going back to school. I started moving on a bit more. I got into more of my hobbies, and I just feel like now I'm in like a better place. Because 2023, 2024 was just kind of normal, just kind of no trauma, nothing too crazy. Like, I started dating my now boyfriend. My job's been okay. Like, my job had pay raises, so I don't have to be a manager dealing with BS. Only thing I'm struggling with is school, like trying to finish school. And other than that, like, I know so badly that I want to finish school, but right now, like, I have all these hobbies. Like, I like to junk journal, I like to paint, but obviously that's not gonna make me money. I want to finish school. That's like my main goal. I want to finish in my computer science degree, and then obviously, like, I'll always love art and I'll always do art no matter what. But that's just what I wanted to say to you guys. Like, my experience has been like hell. It really has been. For the past 5 years, like, nothing had been good. This is like the first point in my life where even like it isn't like an ecstasy of happiness like it was in 2021. Like 2021, 2022, like, I just felt like the happiest, but it felt unhealthy because then I just felt like I was trying to chase that high. And now that I'm here, I'm like, no, like I'm happy and suffice with my life. I'm living, I'm okay, I'm comfortable. Like I have my 4 cats that I love. I have a boyfriend who does his best for me, who loves me. I love him. I try my best to, you know, work at what I want to do. Like I want to earn money from like content creation, and then I want to use that money and finish college, because FAFSA is not doing it for me right now. Like no scholarship is doing it for me right now. I know I'm smart. I've tried scholarships. I think they were scams. But my main goal is now finish school, have money, buy a car, because I don't have a car, wrecked it. But yeah, that is my story of me moving out at 18. And it wasn't all rainbows and butterflies. And to be fair, I feel like I could have gotten further if I weren't such an emotional person. I will say that. Like I am a very emotional person. Like me being a manager, I could have done that better if I just weren't a crybaby. And I'm a big crybaby. I cry a lot over everything. I'm so sensitive. I'm so like fed up after like a bit. And like in my mind and my mentality, I just have to keep telling myself and manifesting and saying like, no, I'm this pretty princess who deserves to live life a bit easier, because I already suffered for the first 18 years of my life. And I don't care if anyone agrees or disagrees with that. That's my mentality and I don't care. So I'm gonna work hard for that to be my mentality, for that to be my reality, I meant. So yeah. I mean, I'm not spending more money on a phone. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys have a good day. I hope you guys accomplish your dreams. I hope you guys work hard. And I hope you guys have an immaculate life. But yeah.